Su misión era proteger a los estudiantes en caso de un atentado, pero cuando comenzó la de Parkland, él no hizo nada y sin quererlo dejó que los niños.
I'll never forget that day. Not only kids, I had friends that, and never for a second would I sit there and allow anyone to, knowing an animal was up in that building. Never.
Debido a su inacción, los fiscales lo señalaron a él como culpable de la muerte de las víctimas, por lo que debió enfrentarse a la justicia y su vida cambió para siempre.
It's really unfortunate that the person who was armed did not do his job.
Do you agree with Manuel that he should be charged, Scott?
100%. He should be charged, and he has no business ever.
Scot Peterson era uno de los policías armados encargado de la seguridad de la escuela secundaria Stoneman Douglas de Parkland, lugar en donde se produjo uno de los más mortíferos de Estados Unidos. Sin embargo, cuando Nicholas Cruz llevó a cabo la Scott estaba presente en el lugar y no hizo nada para detenerlo, por lo que fue acusado de negligencia infantil y fue suspendido inmediatamente.
Scot Peterson was absolutely on campus through this entire event. He was armed, he was in uniform. After seeing video, witness statements, and Scot Peterson's very own statement, I decided this morning to suspend Scot Peterson without pay pending an internal investigation. As is his right, Scot Peterson chose to resign because he has the necessary time with the agency and meets the requirements of retirement. He resigned and /retired. But what I saw was a deputy arrive at the west side of Building 12, take up a position, and he never went in.
Scott quedó muy afectado tras el incidente, pero defendió su actuar y aseguró haber seguido los protocolos correspondientes, ya que había sido entrenado para evaluar la situación y ponerse a cubierto en caso de...
It's surreal. It was like I didn't know what was going on. It was a shock to me.
They never said, hey, explain your actions here. We have a few questions.
No, nothing. Because I know I didn't violate any policy or procedure. I've been with the agency 32 years. I know the policies. I know the procedures. I communicated right on that scene. I did everything that I felt at the time was appropriate.
You cannot violate policy and procedures and still not get it right.
Right. You're absolutely right.
Is that what happened here?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, like I said, Savannah, this will haunt me the rest of my life. It will. Because my kid, those were my kids. So, and that's why it hurts the way it does. It's easy to make comments and say things. In Washington, D.C., you weren't there. You didn't know what I believed and what I said and what I heard those first few minutes on that scene. I think it was just easy for them to make me, the punching bag.
This is one of the worst things that's ever happened. One of the worst schools. And you're getting blamed for not stopping it.
If I knew everything, I would have been in there and engaging that shooter. And you know what? Hopefully I would have shot him. He might have shot me. I don't know the what ifs, but it's been hard. I mean, but it's nothing compared to what these families went through. They lost their kids, and kids were been injured. They lost them. I'm alive. I mean, going through what I went through, it's horrifying because as a police officer, if you're a coward, that's the worst label you could have as a police officer. And it's not true.
El caso de Scot Peterson dio la vuelta al mundo y dividió a la gente según sus posturas.
You don't say that you're wrong. That's why 17 children. Now he's got a situation coming down around his ears, and you expect him to run in without anybody to cover his back? I mean, that's unrealistic. You don't think he already feels guilt? And one incident where he was possibly untrained or emotionally ill-equipped to deal with it is going to mark him for life.
No obstante, los padres de los niños que fueron exigían justicia por sus hijos y le pidieron al Estado que el agente policial pagara por su grave error.
The police officer at the school has now been charged. He's facing up to 100 years behind bars for not intervening. Your take on that?
Well deserved. 100 years is nothing if you compare that my son won't be here anymore. My son got a life sentence, if you put it that way.
And you too.
And well, but I'm still here. So as much as I'm glad that that happened, I also understand that there's more to happen. I am expecting more people to be judged and more groups that are involved in this case. And by the way, my son didn't that day. My son was there that day, which are two different things. So bottom line, I'm glad that there's some justice here.
He had a job to do. He was trained to do this job. He was not trained to stand behind a pole for 48 minutes. He was trained to do a job. If he didn't think that he could do his job, then he should have resigned, quit, and they should have had somebody else do his job.
Sin embargo, tras varios meses de investigación y juicios, Scott fue declarado inocente y fue absuelto de todos los cargos. Y no pudo contener las lágrimas tras escuchar el veredicto final.
In the Circuit Court of the 17th Judicial Circuit in and for Broward County, Florida, case number 19-7166 CF10A, State of Florida plaintiff versus Scot Peterson defendant, verdict, count 1. We, the jury, find as follows as to the defendant in this case. The defendant is not guilty. So say we all this 29th day of June 2023 at Fort Lauderdale, Broward County, Florida. Verdict, count 2. We, the jury, find as follows as to the defendant in this case. The defendant is not guilty. So say we all this 29th day of June 2023 at Fort Lauderdale, Broward County, Florida. Mr. Peterson, I think that concludes your business. At this point, sir, the jury having found you not guilty on counts 1 through 11, I will likewise enter an order of acquittal as to counts 1 through 11. Mr. Eidlosh, is there anything you need me to do regarding Mr. Peterson? No, you're right. I wish you good luck.